Hey, I'm Chef Tom with All Things Barbecue, and today we are making a cottage pie with a smoked chuck roast. Our shepherd's pie is going to consist of a few different components. The first thing that we're going to work on is the chuck roast, and we're going to smoke our chuck roast today. Then we're going to top that with a variety of vegetables and some mashed potatoes. But let's get to work on our roast. All right, so I have about a 3-pound chuck roast. I'm just gonna add a little bit of this concentrated beef stock as a binder. This is gonna allow our rub to attach to the meat, much better than if we didn't use anything at all. So we'll just get all surfaces covered, a little bit of this binder, and then we're gonna hit this roast with some Cattleman's Grill California tri-tip seasoning. I love the garlic and the bell pepper. Some really fantastic flavors in here. We'll be generous with this because it's a pretty big piece of meat. All right, let's just kind of let that set up before we flip it over and do the other side. So this rub is all we're going to need to season this thing. As you can see, there's lots of fat running throughout this piece of meat, so there's really no need to inject this. It's going to have plenty of moisture. And from here, all we've got to do is throw it on the smoker. We're smoking our chuck roast today on a Yoder Smokers YS640 pellet grill. I really love the pellet grill for this sort of a job because it's got such a consistent temperature and we don't have to worry about any smoke getting stagnant. We know that there's a nice clean fire because of the driven air and the smoke and the way it rolls through this pit. All right, this chuck roast has been going for about 2.5 hours. We have some really nice color on the outside and it's at about 150 degrees internal temperature. Just to expedite the process of cooking this, we want to get it above 200 degrees where it'll shred really nice. So we're going to wrap it up in foil where it can braise in its own cooking liquids and hold all that heat in there. We wrap this nice and tight so we don't form any steam pockets. All right, so let's throw this back on the grill, turn the temperature up to about 325, and we'll check on it in about 30 to 45 minutes. While the chuck roast finishes up, I'm gonna get to work on the veggies for our cottage pie. You'll need a couple of carrots, peeled and diced up. And then we're gonna need about 3 leeks. Now with these leeks, we're gonna take this dark part off. We don't use these tops so much, although they're really great for flavoring stock if you're making your own stock at home. And then we'll take the light green and the white part, split that right down in the middle, and you can see how dirty this is, so we're gonna soak these after we're done dicing them. So take that root off, and then just cut some fairly thin strips like this. And then we'll soak these in water. What this does is it allows all of the dirt to come off of the leaves and sink down to the bottom. And then we can pluck the leaves out here in a little bit after they've soaked for probably 15 minutes or so. We removed the chuck roast at about 2.5 hours in when the internal temperature was running between 205 and 210 degrees. So that's gonna be a great spot to shred that stuff up. So now I've removed that, I've turned the pit up to 425 degrees, and I have a 12-inch Lodge skillet in here, which I'm gonna cook my vegetables in. We put down a little oil and then toss in our leeks and our carrots. All right, let's give those about 5 or 10 minutes to soften up. All right, these veggies are softening up nicely. So what I want to do now is add about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, a couple of cloves of garlic that have been minced up, a tablespoon of tomato paste, and then we'll add some more of that seasoning that we had on our roast, some of the tri-tip seasoning. Give that a good stir and let it cook for another minute or two. All right, our veggies are softened up really nicely. To finish this off, just want to add about 2 cups of peas and a tablespoon of rosemary. And we can set this aside and move on to shredding our chuck roast. Now this is nice and tender now. You can see that we can just shred it with our hands. When you get to where you find any large pieces of fat like this, you can discard that. Now that we have taken care of 2 of the 3 components, it's time to make the last item, and that is the mashed potatoes that go on top. So I've cooked about 2.5 pounds of russet potatoes, and I'm just gonna go ahead and add a couple tablespoons of butter, about a half cup of milk. And I've got 2 ounces of Parmesan cheese. So we'll give it a little salt, a little pepper, get a taste, and adjust the seasonings as necessary. And now it's time to put it all together. Spread our chuck out along the bottom. Add our veggies on top of that. Top the veggies with the mashed potatoes. And we'll work a little design right here on the top, just for presentation's sake. And this can also help the mashed potatoes to really crisp up nicely. Although we've got one more thing we want to do, and that's add some white cheddar. And let's get this back on the grill, 425 degrees. All right, so about 20 minutes in and everything is melted, everything is warmed through. And since we don't have a broiler on our grill, we're gonna use a torch to kind of brown up the top. Oh, that's beautiful. That's a full meal right there in one scoop. Let's see how we did. Couldn't be happier about that. All the flavors are there. I love the smokiness. This takes cottage pie to a whole new level. So check it out, try it out, let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please click the subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, go to thesauce.atbbq.com. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.